Hi, by this time you know my name is Marelna and I'm an astrologer, and today we have perhaps the most important full moon of this year, because not only is it a supermoon, it is also a total lunar eclipse. A full moon always brings light to whatever it touches, and often it's a time of disclosures. This time the moon is at 5 degrees Sagittarius and the sun at 5 degrees Gemini. I'd like to tell you more about a supermoon because that only happens when the moon is both closest to the earth and in a straight line with the sun and the earth. It affects the tides, our tectonic plates, but also our perception of reality. Be aware that you might find that you are looking at the world very differently. Now, a lunar eclipse happens when the sun and moon and earth line up in such a way that the shadow of the earth falls on the moon. And the moon is part of our emotional life. It is part of our soul. So what happens is we are being rebooted. And with a total lunar eclipse, we are not only rebooted, we are actually, our whole interior life is being reset. Now, eclipses only happens when the sun and moon are very close to the lunar node axis. Now, I haven't mentioned the lunar nodes up to now because they aren't heavenly bodies. They're actually power points in space. And what the nodes do in your chart is connect you to the future and to your past, and very often to your far distant past. They're shown in a chart with little glyphs that look like earphones. The north node looks like the earphones are the right side up, and the north node is very much the true north for your soul in this lifetime. Whereas the south node is something that you've lived through in many lifetimes, and it is something you know well. It depicts your strengths. So they're exactly opposite each other, and they work in tandem. The south node gives you the strength to reach for your north node. And this time, the south node is in Sagittarius and the north node is in Gemini, which means that the moon being in Sagittarius is on the south node. This makes it a south node total lunar eclipse, which means it is a lunar eclipse which has to do with endings. We have to be aware that something is coming to a close. It's not as if you have to be scared. It is to know that something has to change and it is shifting into being something better for our soul, for the soul of the earth as well. Now, I want to tell you, Jupiter loves it in Pisces. Before Neptune was discovered, Jupiter ruled Pisces. So Jupiter is having a ball in Pisces. I've mentioned before that astrology is cyclical. Now, we had a lunar eclipse at 4 and 5 degrees Sagittarius in May 2002 and in May 2013. Think about or feel what happened to you in 2002 and in 2013. What are the themes of those years? Look at what ended then. What could you do differently and what would you do the same? What were the positive results of what you went through in 2002 and 2013? And this will give you an insight in what is happening at the moment. And that at least gives us some security. Both Mercury and Venus that rule the North Node are in Gemini. Both these planets, Mercury and Venus, love it in Gemini. It will be easier to facilitate linking your head with your heart, your thinking with feeling, and your logic with intuition. Trust yourself. Both these planets are square Neptune. Neptune is the planet of spirituality, of being able to go to altered states, of not wanting to be logical. Something else I'd like to mention, and this is teaching you a bit more astrology, is there are 6 planets in mutable signs. Mutable signs are very much about being adaptable. So we have the sun and moon in Gemini, we have Jupiter in Pisces, and we have Venus and Mercury in Gemini. Oh, and the moon is very much in Sagittarius, which makes it all very mutable and adaptable. The thing is to know when not to be in flux, to stand your ground when necessary, because you will feel like just giving over. Don't do that. You need to be flexible, you need to be adaptable, but you also need to be you. The next new moon is a solar eclipse in June, and I'll be here to talk about that a bit more. This is very much about new beginnings. So know that yes, there are endings at the moment, but the new beginning is very close. What we probably need to do is not to watch the news, but to be in nature, to do things that you enjoy, exchange ideas, communicate with people around you, learn how to say the right thing at the right time so that people can hear you and you speak in a tone of voice that is positive and opening and brings across some of your knowledge and opens you up to the knowledge of others. Enjoy this day. It is such a potent and important full moon. Live deep within yourself, dig deeply and be where you want to be today. And I'll see you next time there's a new moon.